All right. Okay. All right. Good morning, everyone. All right. Can everyone hear me okay? This is, if you can just give me a thumbs up. We're trying a new format today. So if you can just give me a thumbs up, if you can hear me, if there's not any echo or anything, that would be greatly appreciated. Because I've got a lot of stuff going on here. I'm using an external mic and multiple cameras here. So I see Woody Grass Leafy 3. Okay. Everybody left. Okay, let's see. All right. Well, this is our first ever live stream in this format. So we have been doing live streams for a while, and we are trying to do a different format going forward, trying to be a little bit more engaging. So if you're joining, please let me know what the audio sounds like. If you can give me a thumbs up or not, I don't know, because Serpentina Jewelry, thank you for joining. If you could let me know the audio, if you could give me a thumbs up if you could hear. We're doing a new format today. So if you can hear me, if I'm echoey or anything, please let me know. I'm trying to use an external mic, so I'm trying to get a feel for this new format and using an external camera. So it's all new to me. You're good. Thank you. Awesome. Appreciate it. All right, perfect. So we've been doing live streams on Palm Street here for a while. We've done a couple of different formats. I've shown you around the roastery before. I've done tutorial videos. We're going to try something a little bit new today. So we're currently dual streaming on both YouTube and on Palm Street. So this is going to be more like a podcast style conversation, and so we'll talk about coffee, we'll talk about conservation. I did write down some notes, so if you see me look down, I've got some notes here that I want to talk about today, but this is going to be a whole new format for us, just to try and grow our community and engage with you guys a little bit more, get out there, ask and answer questions, and really just all about engagement. So bear with me as we go through this. Like I said, I've got multiple cameras, so I can do cool stuff like, boom, you want to see my face really close, I can do that. So I'm working on some different things that are going to try and improve this. This is as basic as it's going to get today, but I want to be able to show you different things that I'm talking about, different camera angles and things like that. So I'm trying this. So we'll get started. The YouTube live stream, if you're joining on YouTube, I will only be answering questions on Palm Street. So if you have questions about coffee, about reptiles and amphibian conservation, that's mainly what our business is about. So head on over to Palm Street if you have questions about that, and I'll be happy to answer those. So first, before we get started, I want to tell you a little bit more about Cold-Blooded Caffeine and our business before we get into what we're going to talk about, the meat and potatoes today. So Cold-Blooded Caffeine is a coffee roasting company. We're focused on specialty coffee with a wildlife conservation emphasis. So 5% of everything that we do is all the proceeds that we bring in, not profit. The total revenue that we bring in is donated back to wildlife conservation initiatives. We support several different organizations within the industry. We support Turtle Survival Alliance. We support USARK, U.S. Association of Reptile Keepers, Rainforest Alliance, and several others. We actually have a new one that we're going to talk about here in a minute. So that's what Cold-Blooded Caffeine is about. We're about coffee, but we're more about wildlife conservation. We want to be the catalyst to wildlife conservation by using coffee. And so if you're interested in supporting that, you can buy our coffee directly through Palm Street. I actually meant to pin some things here, but I can't because I don't know how to do that. Okay, well, since I'm on my computer and not on my phone, I don't know how to pin things. I'm going to have to play around with that to figure that out. But you can buy our coffee on Palm Street. You can go to the shop icon there at kind of the bottom right, and you can pick out from a wide range of coffees. We support several different affiliates within the reptile industry. So you can select their coffees, or you can select one of our own coffees, and 5% of those proceeds are donated back to wildlife conservation initiatives. So we're going to try this new format, this more podcast vlog style format. We're going to do it twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays at 10 a.m. And I'm going to try and have unique and fun things to talk about on each one. So first thing that I want to talk about is some business updates for Cold-Blooded Caffeine. Where are we going to be? Fall is a busy time of year for us. As you can imagine with coffee, it starts to kick in. Pumpkin spice season is alive and well. If you're one that likes that, so it's a real thing. We see a really big uptick in sales in the fall and winter. It's also our show season, so we do a lot of trade shows during this time of the year. We have one coming up this weekend. We will be at the Charleston Repticon this weekend. This is the only Repticon we do. It's a local show for us. We're based out of Charleston, South Carolina. And it's going to be the first time in like 5 years that I'm going to be bringing animals to the show. Normally we just vend with coffee at most of the shows we go to, but I'm going to vend with some animals. I'm slimming down my personal collection of animals, and we're going to talk about that in a minute as well. That's going to be our main topic today, talking about the difference between vending a trade show with reptiles and amphibians and vending a trade show with coffees, because there's some similarities, but there's also some big differences, as you can imagine. So Charleston Repticon this weekend. If you're in the Charleston area, I would love to see you. I'll be by myself at the show, so come hang out, chat, grab some coffee, and check out the animals that I have for sale. The next thing that I want to announce, this is a big deal for us. We've been working on this one for a long time. We are now officially a corporate sponsor of the South Carolina Aquarium. So again, we're based out of Charleston, South Carolina. The South Carolina Aquarium is also in Charleston. We've been working with them for a long time to try and get some sort of corporate partnership going. We have finalized that as of this month, and you're going to start seeing some different things come out where some of our proceeds will go to conservation initiatives with the South Carolina Aquarium. They worked very extensively with sea turtle conservation, which fits right in with our mission with the cold-blooded aspect and supporting reptile conservation. And so we're very excited to be corporate partners with the South Carolina Aquarium. As part of live streams in the future, we're going to give you opportunities to donate directly to the South Carolina Aquarium as well. So like tipping opportunities or things like that, where it'll go directly to the South Carolina Aquarium. We have a direct link with them and our corporate partnership so that we can support them directly. So we're very, very excited about that. And then finally, every week, this isn't going to be me sitting here and trying to sell you things when we're talking. This is more just an engagement. So feel free to ask questions, but I will do one product spotlight a week and highlight one of our coffees that I think you might be interested in trying. This week's product spotlight is our Snake Discovery Blend. So this is available on Palm Street or on our website, depending on how you like to buy. So I'm trying to figure out, I'm backwards in my camera, sorry about that. And so you can check this out at the shop down in the bottom right-hand corner of your screen there. And we did actually add variants to our coffees. So that's new since the last live stream. I went through and I added ground or whole bean. So you can select ground or whole bean. Previously, you would have to message me and ask me to grind it. But you can now do ground or whole bean of any of the coffees on our website, including our absolute bestseller, the Snake Discovery Coffee. So a little bit of a story behind this coffee. This is a single origin Colombian for those of you that aren't aware what single origin means, it is from one farm, from one producer, followed through the stream. It's not blended or anything like that. It's one farm, one producer coffee. This is from Colombia. It's a medium roast, and it is actually the first affiliate coffee that we ever did. And so I wanted to tell you a little bit of the story behind Snake Discovery and our involvement with them, because I think it reflects a lot about what community can do within the reptile and amphibian industry, and how we can build each other up and make each other better. A lot of you that are on Palm Street that are listening own small businesses, whether it be plants or jewelry or crystals or reptiles or there's other coffee roasters on here. We're all little small businesses, and having someone like Snake Discovery for us that wanted to partner with us, it really made our business. It really it took us from doing a couple of bags a week selling online to the day that we were in the Snake Discovery video, we did 200 orders in that one day. And it just launched everything going forward. So we met Snake Discovery for the first time at the Tinley Park show in March of 2022. We launched Cold-Blooded Caffeine in August of 2021, but that was our first live public appearance. We did Tinley Park in March 2022. And I happened to see them walking by and knew who they were. I don't really watch their channel. They're not my demographic. I mean, I'm not their demographic, let's be honest. But I knew who they were and knew the influence they had in the industry. Went out on a limb, gave them a bag of coffee, and reached out after the show, maybe a week or two after that show, asked if they wanted to do an affiliate blend with us. And they said yes. They actually volunteered to fly down to Charleston to do a video with us. We actually ended up doing 2 videos, one with the coffee roasteries. That's still on their channel, so you can check that out. It's still on the Snake Discovery channel. Check that out. It was in July, I think, of 2022 that video came out. But we did the roastery tour video. That was our old facility. And then we did a herping video where I took both of them out to do to look for some animals. And so both of those videos are still on their channel. Like I said, the result of that was about 250 orders in one day. It didn't really make them a dime, right? They did it purely to benefit us and the content for their channel, of course, but it benefited us way more than it benefited them. Since that time, we are very thankful to call Snake Discovery friends. We see them at a lot of the expos, and they're really, really good people. Say what you will about whatever you think of their videos or whatever, but they are genuinely good people, and we're very thankful. And that's why I wanted to feature the Snake Discovery blend as the first coffee product spotlight that we're going to do on this new format, because it was our first affiliate, and because Ed and Emily are genuinely good people, and I look forward to seeing them every time we do a show. So shout out to them for taking a shot at an upstart coffee roastery and helping us get our start. And then I definitely recommend you giving this a try. Oh, there we go. I see pen and item. Let me try that. Let me see. Can I do that? No. Sorry, I get distracted easily. No. Okay. I can't do it right now. But go into the shop, grab a bag of the Snake Discovery blend or any of our other coffees, and support the wildlife conservation initiatives. So that is all that I have for business and product updates. The next thing I wanted to do is talk to you about, give you some good news about what's going on in conservation, what supporting conservation initiatives can do. So there's nothing in the shop. Huh. That's interesting. Okay. Let's see. That's probably why I can't pin an item. No, I can't. Okay. Give me a second. I'll check. Thank you for that. My listings. I can see it. Okay. Add some listings. Okay. Manage, maybe. That's weird. I apologize for that. I don't know how to. I can see them on my end. Oh. You can't see. There might be a difference between your shop and this live shop. Maybe. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Done. All right, there we go. I think I figured it out. I don't know why I had to do that, but I think I figured it out. Okay, well, maybe not. I imported some of them. Okay, select all. Done. Okay. Select all. Done. All right. There we go. All right. For some reason, I had to select them. Huh, that's new. Okay, I've never had to do that when I did it on my phone, but that is probably the difference between streaming on my computer and streaming on the phone. Apologies for that, but thank you so much for letting me know that that was there. So now you should be able to see everything that was that I was just talking about in the shop. Okay, so the next segment, I want to talk about conservation news. I want to give some good news about the conservation initiatives that are happening around the world. And I'm going to try my best to keep them related to reptiles and amphibians, but I won't always be able to do that. So the first thing that I want to talk about is there was recently an effort to reintroduce some San Francisco garter snakes. So if you're not familiar with the San Francisco garter snakes, this is what it looks like. We actually, this is the featured animal on our U.S. ARC blend. And so the San Francisco garter snake is an absolutely beautiful animal, and it is a very, very limited range where these animals are from in the wild in San Francisco, in the San Francisco area. And so there has been a joint effort between the San Francisco Zoo and Gardens working with the U.S. Geological Survey that's launched a new captive breeding program. So they're bringing in some pregnant females that are brought under controlled conditions, and they are hatching them out, and then they are already starting to plan on reintroducing some of these captive hatched babies into the wild. And like I said, this is a really big deal in terms of conservation because these animals have such a limited home range and they're so threatened in the wild. And so having this captive breeding and reintroduction program is a huge deal for the long-term survival in the wild populations of these animals. And I'm not super familiar with snake reintroductions, but I have some experience with turtle and tortoise reintroductions. So I've listened to several talks. Actually went to the turtle and tortoise symposium with Turtle Survival Alliance a few months ago, and there were some extensive conversations of reintroduction of eastern box turtles and some really cool things that they were doing there. And they were having a lot of success with well-started eastern box turtles having a higher opportunity of survival. And I think the San Francisco garter snakes could have a similar thing where they, you can bring them in captive situations, hatch them, or they actually give live birth. So have the babies and then reintroduce them well started to give them a better opportunity to survive in the wild. I think this is really, really great news for the species. They're such a cool animal, and we definitely love that we featured the red-sided garter snake, or the San Francisco garter snake, on our label here for USARK, because USARK is also helping with a lot of these similar types of effort, not necessarily reintroduction stuff, but they're also fighting for our rights to keep these animals in the wild. And so I think that it was a fitting animal ambassador for this label, and I'm glad to hear this news. I agree. 789, I agree. We do need our turtles and tortoises back in our deserts. I think that's a great topic of conversation. In particular, am very interested in turtle and tortoise conservation. That's why we chose to work with the Turtle Survival Alliance. And I think turtles and tortoises, more so than a lot of the different animal species, need our help because they're so slow to reproduce, and it takes them so long to reach sexual maturity that they just can't rebound as quickly as some other more rapidly reproducing species can. And so I wholeheartedly agree that turtle and tortoise conservation is a big deal, and it's why we put a big focus on that within our business. The next story that I want to talk to you about is another reintroduction story. This one for an amphibian species. So this is the mountain yellow-legged frog. Similar to what we just talked about, some scientists in the Bluff Lake region of California have reintroduced 350 endangered mountain yellow-legged frogs. This is another joint coalition with the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, the San Diego Zoo Wildlife Alliance, and the U.S. Geological Survey. These frogs were nearly wiped out in the wild due to a combination of chytrid fungus infections, non-native trout predation, and habitat loss. The interesting thing about this one, when I was reading up on this survey, is that this is a very large-scale reintroduction at one time, which is pretty unique. And I think it's very interesting to see the results of this once they've finished this study. They've done reintroductions of this species before in the 75 to 100 individuals range. This is 350 individuals. This is a lot of individuals going back into the wild at one time. And the hope is that even if there is some level of predation, that there will be enough individuals that are put back into the ecosystem that they can establish a stronghold and continue that species forward. Of course, they've done a lot of pathogen testings on these species that are returning to these animals that are returning to the wild because of that chytrid fungus infection. They want to make sure that the ones that are going back out there don't have any signs of that, so that they're not reintroducing something right back into the same situation where they're going to have issues. So that is the second story. The third story that I wanted to mention today was one that's a little more close to home in terms of this audience and the plant, animal, and plant, reptile, and amphibian community. And it was a program that was launched by the University of Tennessee College of Veterinary Medicine called the Healthy Trade Initiative. It's created a nationwide adoption network for reptiles and amphibians. And this one is interesting to me, and I wanted to see what your thoughts were on it, if you had any feedback on this one, because on the surface, it sounds like a great idea to establish a nationwide network of adoption, so connecting different rescue agencies together to a joint effort to help find reptile and amphibians that need a new home. And on the surface, I think that sounds really great. But I am a little bit cautious with this because of the idea that it could incentivize people to make more impulse decisions in terms of purchasing animals if there is a known outlet to be able to not get rid of, that sounds pretty mean, but to rehome them if they become unwanted. And so while I would never take away from the idea that there should be rescues or there should be a network of rescues or anything like that, I think this is a great way to help on the back end, but I also still think that there needs to be more education on the front end by people like us that are selling animals or that are in the animal industry to help make sure that people that are buying these animals know how big they're going to get, their care requirements, their longevity, anything like that. So I think this is really, really great news that they're working to get a joint network for reptiles and amphibian adoption, but I also want to caution to say that this is like a solution to a problem that we created and not necessarily the end-all be-all answer. So wanted to hear your thoughts. If you have any, throw them in the comments about a nationwide adoption network for reptiles and amphibians. All right, while we move on from there, that's the last of my news updates for conservation for today. I wanted to also share with you things about me personally that go beyond, you seeing my face talking about coffee and reptiles, because I think that goes a long way to building, a relationship on this platform and being open and honest and transparent. So I do want to share like personal updates for things along the time. They're not going to be serious or like all the time or stuff, but I personally am struggling this week, and we're going to talk a little bit about that next, because I'm kind of in a crossroads personally, tying back into that previous conversation where I am slimming down some of the animals that I have under my care due to life situations that I didn't necessarily see when I acquired those animals to begin with. And so I have been keeping reptiles and amphibians for since I was 17 years old. So almost 20 years. I'm 36. I'll be 37 in March. So almost 20 years I've been keeping reptiles and amphibians. And I've kept almost anything that you could think of keeping in that time period. Everything from tiny dart frogs all the way up to crocodilians, iguanas. I haven't kept any of the big constrictors. That's the only thing that I'll say that I haven't kept, the retics and berms and things like that. And I don't keep venomous either. So, but I do keep like false water cobras and hognose and things like that that are rear-fanged venomous, but I don't keep any truly venomous species or any of the large constrictors. That's about it. And when I started keeping those animals, most of what is currently in my collection, I was young adult, in my 20s, had a stable job, no kids, not a whole lot of responsibilities outside of like my marriage and going to work. Fast forward 20 years, things have changed quite a bit. Self-employed, so this is my full-time job, doing Cold-Blooded Caffeine, and we also own a few other businesses. So that's changed certainly from the stability of having a corporate job, and also we have a 9-year-old son who has some special needs that takes a lot of time away, and so I feel like it's time to make sure I do right by the animals in my care and find them some new homes. That's one reason why I mentioned that we're doing Repticon Charleston this week, is to try and find some new homes for some of the animals that I have in my care. A lot of them are higher end animals that I've held on to, and so I will be looking to find a good home for them, and vetting the people that potentially will take them, because not everyone should have false water cobras or boas or like adult boas and things like that. So but it is a little sad for me knowing I'm going to keep a few of my my animals. But most of what I'll go from having at my peak about 300 animals when I was breeding to probably 4 or 5. And that's a significant deal for me. But I am excited to have pets again and not feel like I need to breed them or make money off of them in order to justify having them. And so that is going to be a sad transition for me. But that leads into my primary topic of the week: prepping for vending trade shows as an animal vendor versus prepping for trade shows as a coffee vendor. So usually when we do trade shows, we're the only coffee vendor there. It makes sense. There's not a whole lot of us out there. And so we don't really have to do a ton in terms of sales for the show, like selling aspect, because a lot of people will come up and they either want coffee or don't want coffee. And I don't have to be super salesy. I don't have to be, super going out there marketing ahead of the show and things like that, as opposed to when I was selling animals. Big things with coffee is it's more of a retail environment. So I have to have product on the shelf. I have to be supplied with ground coffee so that I can brew coffee. I have to have all of the accessories like cups, lids, sleeves, creamers, sugars, all that stuff we have to bring in. And so there's a lot of prep that happens before the show, way more than when I was breeding animals and bringing animals to the show. And so that to me is the biggest difference for the coffee side in terms of maybe like a con to vending coffee, because we have in ARBC Tinley Park coming up in October. So that is October 11th and 12th that we're going to be at Tinley Park. And I will start prepping for that about 2 weeks in advance, starting to make sure that I've got all the cups and sleeves ordered, that I have enough syrups and all that kind of stuff, and collecting it. And then the week of, I spend pretty much the whole week prepping for vending that show in terms of roasting coffee, packaging coffee, getting ready to go. We have to drive to trade shows because of all our equipment. So when we vend coffee, we have to drive. So that is another huge expense. And then the animal side, though, certainly has its cons. And that am definitely not saying that I'm going to go back to vending animals full time after I finish what I need to do with the animals that I currently have. But the big thing with animals is you're dealing with living things at this point. So you're not dealing with coffee. Coffee I can leave in the back of the van overnight and it's going to be fine. Animals, you can't do that. You're talking about living things. So the control of the environment, the control of the transportation of the situation when you're at the show, pathogen control, making sure that you're sanitizing in between people handling the animals. That's a big deal. And that's a huge difference in terms of, vending a dry good like coffee versus vending a live animal. I think for me, the preparation is a little less in terms of animals because you can't really do a whole lot in advance. So you're going to have to put the animals in their transportation container the day you leave. You can't leave them in there for you shouldn't leave them in there for an extended period of time. And then everything else prior to that is kind of your regular maintenance stuff, right? So you're going to take care of your animals like you normally would. Maybe you feed them a little less the week of the show so that they're not on a full tummy or something like that. But I think the preparation for vending animals is a little easier than coffee, but I think being at the show, transporting live animals, the aspect of making sure the animals are going to a good home, so vetting the customer, that's a significant downside to vending animals. This is the first time I'll be vending animals at a show in about 5 years. The first show we did, actually, no, that's not true. 3 years, 3.5 years. The first show that we did in March, Tinley, with Cold-Blooded Caffeine, we brought animals as well. So we brought our coffee setup, and then we brought some animals because we wanted to fit in. We didn't want it to look super different until we learned that it's actually good that we look different at these shows. We don't want to look like everybody else. We want to draw attention to ourselves. So that's the main differences between vending coffee and vending reptiles. So that's the bulk of what I had to talk about today on the Cold-Blooded Caffeine Coffee Hour. I do want to open up some time for the audience, those of you that have stuck around for this live stream, to ask any questions. So we'll be doing this every Tuesday and Thursday at 10 a.m. 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We're going to do this conversation. I'm going to try and come up with new conservation news. I'm going to try and come up with new interesting stories to share with you. I'm going to try and get better with some of the technology, so I'll be able to show you things on the screen. I've got some fun sound bites that I'm going to add in. I've got my soundboard over here that I can add in. So I'm going to try and do better. I'm going to try and learn. I'm going to try and grow. I'm going to try and be a better host and facilitator of these things. But you got to start somewhere. So I just wanted to get out here today, try it out, see if this worked, see if the format worked for you. So if you have any questions for me, feel free to drop them in the chat here on Palm Street. Again, we're live streaming on YouTube and Palm Street right now. I only answer questions on Palm Street. And don't forget, today's featured product spotlight is the Snake Discovery Coffee. Now that I've double checked, and we do have the shop up and running, you can get that in the shop on the bottom of your screen, bottom right corner of your screen there. If you're interested in grabbing a bag of coffee before we depart today. Oh, we're going to start. So Thursday, I am going to do some giveaways. So if you want to subscribe to Thursday's live stream, I think I'm going to do a mug giveaway on Thursday. So no purchase necessary. Just join the live stream, hang out for whatever the preset time is. I haven't decided yet. I think it's like 10 or 15 minutes that you have to hang out, and you're automatically qualified for the mug. So try and get some people interested in coming. I've got I haven't exactly decided which mug I'm going to do. I've got some Cold-Blooded Caffeine mugs. I also have some mugs with some fun, designs on it to try and see if that'll help with some of the audience coming in. But next live stream will be Thursday at 10 a.m. If you have any topics of conversation that you want to hear about, let me know. I'll be happy to touch on those. We will talk a little bit more about, I forgot to tell you what I'm drinking. I'm drinking coffee. This morning I'm drinking an Ethiopian. It's a natural Ethiopian that I'm working on. Sorry, I'm about to sneeze. And this is something that we're trying to see if we are going to replace our Nicaraguan honey processed coffee with an Ethiopian natural. We have a Nicaraguan honey processed coffee that we're almost out of. A lot of these coffees that we get in are seasonal, and so we can't necessarily order more once we run out of something. And so we have to find a substitute. And so I'm testing an Ethiopian natural here today. For those that aren't aware, Ethiopian natural coffees tend to be bright, crisp, bold, floral. So you're going to get a lot of fruity, floral notes on the front end. They're going to be light, more tea-like than like a bold coffee. But they roast really well as a light roast. You get a ton of flavor out of them. So trying that out, seeing if I like it, see if I want to introduce that as our next coffee. So stay tuned for that. Hope you join us again. I appreciate those of you that stuck with us as I fumbled through this first one. I promise I'll get better. It's all about practice. It's all about, getting in the habit of getting my notes together, the conversation of getting everything set up, we learned about the shop today where I needed to add those. So we'll get better with it. I appreciate you. Hopefully you'll look back on this in a year and say, oh my gosh, he's gotten so much better at doing this. And I was there for the first one. So, we do have, I will tease you for those of you that stuck around to the very end. We do have a really, really exciting announcement, hopefully that'll come out by Thursday's episode. I didn't want to say it in the main body of the program because I'm not 100% sure if it's going to be ready by then, but we do have a really big announcement from probably the biggest reptile and amphibian content creator group. I'm going to see if I can say that right. So for those that want to guess, it's obviously we already have a blend with Snake Discovery, and so it's not them. So we have a new coffee collaboration coming out with probably one of the bigger names in the reptile industry, and that is happening hopefully this week. That we'll be able to announce it. And so we're very excited about that. So stay tuned. If it's not Thursday, it'll probably be next Tuesday when I can actually announce it. But we're very excited about that. So appreciate you for joining. I'm going to give everyone just a few more minutes if you want to buy a bag of coffee. No pressure there. Again, this isn't the purpose of this. This is not to sell you anything. So if you want to support, please feel free to go to the shop, grab a bag of coffee. But if you just want to listen and hang out and ask questions, you're more than welcome to do that as well. So thank you for that. We will see. You can order anytime. You don't have to order on the live stream. So the shop is available anytime that you want to order. So you can go to our page here on Palm Street, order anytime. The coffee doesn't really change all that much. The only thing that might change is sometimes we'll have like overstock stuff that we want to move out. And so, thank you 789 for joining. Appreciate that. Next live for sure. We'll see you on Thursday. Hope you guys subscribe to our page here on Palm Street, and so that you don't miss any of our lives. And I will see you all again real soon. Let me see. Next test is to see if I can figure out how to end this thing on my computer. All right. Hope you guys have a good rest of your day. I'll talk to you again soon.